As of 5:55 p.m. tonight, Reserve Bank Board Chair Neil Quigley resigns effective immediately. There's the news that
Damn.
came out. And I was like, hard shit, because of the timing of when it was released. And because we've seen a lot from the Reserve Bank, and especially with the Adrian Orr things that happened earlier this year. Yeah, it was earlier this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That dropped, and a bunch of other things that we keep getting from the Reserve Bank. I was about like, oh dear, this is hot news. And so I did a bit of a digging to be like, okay, let's maybe look at the timeline of things, because I think this is because I haven't got any much to go off, and I don't really know much about this whole thing. So I had to do a bit of a deep dive in order to relay this back to you. And I went down probably quite a large rabbit hole
Yes.
to the point where I downloaded a official information act like PDF stack of like emails. My favorite being a screenshot of a text chain between someone and Adrian, which was
Okay.
when someone's on like an iPhone and they can like a message, and then you get liked quotation mark the message.
Yes. Yeah.
For some reason, he must have pressed like the dislike button, and so he accidentally sent back a message that said dislike quote see you down there in 10 quote. So, and then he was like, what is that, like, as in like it was
Like, what does
about
it
coming
mean?
down to see for a meeting. To give context to that, I think that was what it was. And then the person's like, I'm not sure what that was for. And then Adrian's like, nor me.
Wow.
Like, this is the stuff that comes, and this is completely irrelevant to all of us, I'm pretty sure, but it was just funny that made it into an OIA. It was
That is wild. I mean,
I didn't even know you could do that. I knew you could like a message and then it comes through as liked quote. I didn't know you could dislike a message so it came through as disliked quote. Oh my god, boomers, man. Anyways, so that's one of the many things that I found, which I found was hilarious. But I thought probably what was so it looks like the Herald actually managed to do, it's all under their pro subscription, so I can't actually read all of it. It's really annoying. But throughout the week, they've actually been doing a series of articles that dive deeper and deeper into some of the stuff that the Ombudsman has basically forced the Reserve Bank of New Zealand to the information to act on the Official Information Act requests that people have asked for. And then they did basically a big inquiry, and his resignation this week, Neil Quigley, basically follows a lot of criticisms of his handling of Adrian Orr's resignation, is essentially what it comes down to. But because of the Ombudsman pushing for them to release the stuff that they keep holding back for whatever reason, on his departure, they actually put out a nice little timeline. So they actually did my job for me, which is really nice of them. So I can just see like 100 tabs in front of me, so I'm just going to Google it because it's way quicker. And if I go here, would you look at that? Look at that. So instead of me having to go through, 6 months of bloody articles from 10 different bloody websites, I thought I would just relay to you what the HAPS was and what has led to today's resignation, effective immediately. So this is, when did this come out? Yesterday, in fact. So this is the Reserve Bank New Zealand response to Chief Ombudsman's decision. The Chief I hate that word. Ombudsman. I am on a budsman. The chief, I am on a budsman, so I'm going to call it from now on, has completed his inquiry into complaints received on the Reserve Bank New Zealand's RBNZ's Handling of Official Information Act OIA requests regarding former Governor Adrian Orr's departure. So they've repeated completed this inquiry. And quote from Professor, he's also a professor, I think he's like VC of Victoria University as well, which I don't know how he does both jobs. Vice Chancellor.
There's a million of them, they change all the time.
Neil Quigley says, following his review of information withheld by RBNZ from requests under the OIA for information relating to Adrian Orr's departure, the Chief Ombudsman has asked us to release a timeline of events covered by this information, but has not required any additional documents or other information to be released. The Chief Ombudsman has also provided guidance on the different grounds that applied to withhold information and where the public interest lies. We therefore conclude that apart from being late with our OIA responses, the approach we took in responding to OIA requests was a reasonable one to the requests and met the overall public interest by balancing transparency with privacy and other legitimate concerns. We thank requesters for their patience and their interest in recent events. Below is a summary timeline of events relating to Mr. Orr's departure. So, going back to the 20th of February, there was a meeting between Quigley, Orr, Treasury officials regarding the 5-year funding agreement. On the 24th, there was a meeting between Quigley, Orr, Minister of Finance, Willis, and Treasury officials relating to the capital requirements for banks, completing competition in banking, and the 5-year funding agreement for RBNZ. Now, the 5-year funding is basically what we all learned a couple of months ago, back in June, was that in the first round of requests that came out, it was revealed that it was the funding, which everyone speculated that was why Adrian Orr ended up stepping down, because he wasn't happy with the funding cuts that they were basically doing. And he said that he couldn't operate on that, and he said, my time is done. I don't think we can see a path forward. So this is kind of what's happening in these meetings here. Also on the 24th, Orr emailed RBNZ board to relay his view of the discussions at the meeting with the Finance Minister and express his concerns about what the level of funding was needed, and then stated that he considered that he was unable to perform his duties given the uncertainty over funding, and described what he perceived as a lack of trust between the parties. Then on the 26th, Mr. Orr emailed RBNZ board ahead of a meeting with the board, stating the governor and the board are in an impasse due to the disagreements over funding, and that it was for the board to take the next step. Orr met with, on the 26th again, met with the RBNZ board following the meeting. Professor Quigley, isn't that the guy from Harry Potter? Quigley.
No, but I think you're thinking of Quirrell.
Quirrell?
Yeah.
It's a Quirrell.
But it also kind of reminds me of like Quimby from Simpsons.
Quimby. Maybe that's one thing of. Mr. Orr met with the RBNZ board. Following this meeting, Professor Quigley emailed Mr. Orr advising that the board intended to write to him with its concerns. And this is where things get a bit feisty, and there's some. I'll show you the reports in a second about what happened there. Then on the 27th, Mr. Orr advised the board chair that he will remain out of office until resolution of the matter, and that Christian Hawkesby would be acting governor. On the 27th again, Professor Quigley, on behalf of the non-executive members of the board, writes to Mr. Orr to set out various concerns relating to the tenor of dialogue at meetings with Treasury officials on 20th of February and the Minister of Finance on the 24th. His apparent lack of trust of RBNZ Board, Minister of Finance and Treasury, whether he would be able to undertake his role with lesser funding, and the letter sought Mr. Orr's response to the concerns raised. On the 3rd of March, Mr. Orr rejected the assertions in the letter, but accepted that he considered there was a lack of trust between the parties. On the 5th of March, an exit agreement was reached between Mr. Orr and RBNZ, which included Mr. Orr agreeing to resign and for the board to withdraw their 27th of February letter, in which the tenor of dialogue at meetings, his apparent lack of trust, whether he'd be able to undertake his role. So that letter, I can't find that letter anywhere, by the way, guys. I don't know if that was in this is why I went down a bloody rabbit hole. I couldn't fucking find that letter. Someone could find it for me, that'd be great. I couldn't bloody find it. I'd love to read what that letter said. But maybe that's the point. Maybe because it got withdrawn.
True.
But it sounds like everyone knows what was in that letter, so it's clearly out there somewhere. And then on the 6th of March, a paper was circulated by the RBNZ board to approve the acceptance of the resignation of Adrian Orr, approve the exit agreement entered into, and then note the next steps of the board to recommend a temporary governor. So thank you for a beautiful little timeline to make my job really simple. So those events that I just put to you, starting on the 20th of February, which was a meeting between Professor Quigley, Mr. Orr, Treasury officials, all the way through to the 6th of March when he was signed off to resign. Yeah. So that's nice. Released the Orr letter. I think it's somewhere else. I just couldn't bloody well find it. And
I'm sure it's hiding. Everyone's
put out a fucking. I have so many tabs open right now, and I'm trying to find the ones that I want because there's things that came out today. There's things that came out yesterday.
Also, I like this one. So political interference from Nikki. I mean,
well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
See, this is what I'm trying to figure out, right? And you guys are all coming on the journey with me. Is whether Barbara has actually Barbara's clearly got questions and sees that there are some gaps as well because she put out a post in the last, I don't know, couple of hours that this came out, thanks to RNZ for updating their article, saying that maybe it was one NZ that did it, that she has questions as well of like something's not adding up here, bruh. Willis needs to come out and answer some questions. So the story goes as 7:30 p.m. today is when the final article was updated, and this kind of asserts the same things. But actually, I'm going to show you this one because this one has Barbara at the end of it as well. Okay. Stop moving. What are you doing? So Quigley resigns. He was elected to chair in 2016. He's been on the board since 2010. He was appointed for another full. So he wasn't supposed to finish up till June 30, 2026. We had another year to go. So Willis has said this afternoon, she noted that Quigley tendered his resignation from the board and as board chair with immediate effect. The resignation came after 5 months of scrutiny over abrupt departure of former governor. In June this year, Willis criticised the Reserve Bank over sharing information surrounding Orr's sudden resignation in March. The rebuke came after the bank released documents under an Official Information Act revealing Orr quit in March due to a funding dispute with the bank's board and the government. Prior to the documents being released, Willis and officials were being tight-lipped on the departure. At the time the details were revealed, Willis said she had spoken to Quigley over the issue and expressed my view that they did not manage that Official Information Act request well, and that I expect them to do better. He has acknowledged that He has acknowledged that they could have and should have done better. Yesterday, the Reserve Bank responded to an inquiry by the Chief Ombudsman into complaints over its handling of the OIA, and this is the time that I've just showed to you. Willis today said Quigley decided now was the appropriate time for him to hand over to a new chair, having overseen a number of key work streams for the bank. Mr. Quigley departs with a new funding agreement in place, a major review of capital settings out for consultation, and the recruitment of a new governor well advanced. He leaves the bank well positioned for the future. I thank him for your service and wish him well in the future. Willis said Deputy Chair Roger Finlay would cover the functions of chair until appointment was made. Mr. Quigley's departure creates a vacancy on the board, which will be filled in due course. And Barbara came out this evening, said that the public deserves better. The common denominator in the resignation of two very senior financial leaders is Nicola Willis. Full transparency is needed. Immediately. The Reserve Bank is one of the most important institutions in Aotearoa. It's time for Nicola Willis to be honest with the public about what she knows, what she has been told about the situation, and when, what actions she has taken to manage the situation. Our economy is already in enough trouble given her fiscal management, and she is relying on the Reserve Bank to support growth. The public should have absolute confidence and transparency about how the situation has been managed and the role of the minister. So I thought it was fishy when I saw the headline. I definitely did some digging. And then when that update came through, and Barbara was pointing fingers saying, there's a common denominator that I was also seeing in all of this, and there's some questions still needing to be answered.
Everyone in the chat was seeing it too.
So are we? Is it Nicola Willis or is it Nicola Willis's fault? Because she had some pretty strong words this week for a guy who's just suddenly stepped down, effective immediately. That he didn't do a good enough job handling all of these Official Information Act requests. So the general sentiment that I'm getting from a lot of the stuff I've read so far, and I could show you the paper trail, but you can go and find it yourself. So I'm going to summarize it the best I can for you, hopefully correctly, is that, as stated there, Willis wasn't very happy with the way that the RBNZ have handled the situation with Adrian Orr's sudden departure. The thing I can't quite figure out is, Willis wasn't prepared to say why Adrian Orr was leaving or why he was leaving. It was agreed across the board that it was personal circumstances that he was leaving. Everyone suspected, without the information, everyone suspected that it was because of conflict in the funding and that sort of thing. Conflict between what Adrian saw was best for the bank, and then what Willis wanted, which was to cut their spending. And there's the thing I can't quite figure out as well is it seems that the OIA, Hubby NZ maybe perhaps put out more than they should have, or they didn't need to put out the letter. I don't know. There's some weird stuff in there that doesn't really make sense. She's criticizing basically Quigley for mishandling it, but I feel like she was pretty much doing the exact same thing and saying or doing the same thing. I don't know. It's some weird shit's going on. I don't know if I'm reading into it or if I'm just missing something that's clearly obvious.
No, but yeah, it is very.
I'm confused.
It's definitely giving sus. What does she mean? I don't like the way you handled that. Is that because you don't like the fact that you basically got outed when that information was released? Because that's the kind of tone that it gives me, to be honest. I also, I agree with Batman in this, of just that he resigned because Nicola Willis wanted the OCR cut and he gave pushback. Same with Adrian Orr. I definitely am more kind of leaning towards this, because it does seem like they've been very vocal about basically disagreeing, but then obviously people are just then start quitting, which is, I also think Rochelle brings up a good point. trying to throw someone under the bus, and maybe these people she keeps trying to throw under the bus keep quitting because they don't want to be basically used as fodder so that she can get away with it and, act like she's somehow a good finance minister. Like, she's fucked up so many things so far, and I feel like she's probably definitely worried at the fact that it's looking very terrible in terms of how many projects she touches. They all seem to turn to fucking shit. I mean, look at our boats. It started with Nikki No Boats, and now it's Nikki No Banks. Oh, did I lose you? You muted.
Yeah, it's me. I keep muting myself because I keep coughing. I don't want to do it inside your ears. And then I forget, even though I can see right there that it's bright red. So the RNZ article is worth having a read through as well, because I think this also starts to fill in some more of those gaps that I was feeling. I was feeling the gaps, the gaps are there. So speaking to RNZ shortly after this evening, Willis was more forthcoming. She said Quigley tendered his resignation following a discussion with her earlier on Friday about the ongoing criticism of the board's handling of information surrounding Orr's departure on March 5th. My concern was that the bank's reputation was being impacted. He agreed with me that it was a serious matter. If he had not offered his resignation, I would have asked him for it. Willis said she expected the highest levels of transparency and public accountability from organisations she worked with. This matter could have been handled better.
Okay.
So in other words, she pushed him out the door.
She wants to work with organisations. Maybe get your shit together with inside the fucking house before you start saying that kind of shit. Like, fuck off.
So despite the turbulence, she said full confidence in the bank's board would learn from these events and draw a line under this. So this week brought fresh revelations about the saga. So on Wednesday, emails released on the Official Information Act, OIA, displayed a spat between the Reserve Bank and Treasury over whether certain information should have made public. So this is kind of filling in some of those gaps before I was saying. And on Thursday, the Ombudsman required the Reserve Bank to release the timeline. And this is where it gets very interesting in this article. It also revealed that Orr's resignation had preceded the board sending him a letter of concerns and then an exit agreement being reached too. So on both occasions, the Taxpayers Union issued statements calling on Willis to protect the dignity of the Reserve Bank and sack Quigley.
Oh my God. If they're the only people that are willing to back you up, that is how you know she's on the wrong fucking side. Nikki Atlas Network Willis. Fuck.
So, I think I just read exactly. I think I just filled in the gap.
You answered your own question. You answered your own question. I love when that happens.
I knew it was in here somewhere. Yeah. So, Jordan Williams, famous economist, friend of the show. This has gone beyond questions about the credibility of the Reserve Bank. It's now a matter of honesty, Taxpayers Union Executive Director Jordan Williams said. Quigley's continued presence at the helm of the Reserve Bank board undermines public trust. He must resign or be removed by the minister. Speaking on RNZ Infometrics, Chief Executive Brad Olson said the exit gave the bank a good chance to reset with a new chair and governor. He told RNZ's panel that he had not expected the announcement on Friday evening and cited concerns about trust and transparency surrounding the central bank. Remember when the governor, Adrian Orr, resigned very unexpectedly? We were told at the time there was nothing untoward. Just that the governor had decided now is the time to exit. No, I fucking believe that. As the time has gone on, we have heard more and more information that clearly shows that wasn't the case. There were concerns building up. In a statement, Labour's finance spokesperson Barbara said it was disappointing that the end of Quigley's time at the Reserve Bank had been marred by poor handling and the resignation of the previous Reserve Bank governor. So, yeah.
Wow.
Somebody's listening. Someone's got someone in their ear telling them who to fire, for sure.
I mean, this is a pretty good way to sum it up. Feels like she's placing a second head on a spike outside her office. You know, I'm sure they'll learn from this. Like, what? I mean, I would say what the fuck, but we all know what the fuck. Unfortunately. Like, it's frustrating that we're paying her to do this. That's what it keeps coming back to in my brain. Is that we're paying these people to do this, and there are no mechanisms to which that we can pull the fucking brake and go, hey, I don't think we're going the right way. I'm scared. I want to get off. Because, I mean, like, it's just, I just want to, no, I probably shouldn't say that out loud. Never mind. Continue. Oh my god. Although Dot did have there's a big smell coming out of what's going on. I agree. It's very stinky. And I wish we weren't paying for this.
Yeah. Yeah, there are yeah. I don't want to make of all of this. I think it started with Adrian. Well, obviously it'll kind of obviously all of us started with Adrian. But yeah, I mean, we haven't just seen him step down. We've seen people on the Health NZ board step down out of nowhere, especially sort of end of last year. We've seen tons of top officials step away before their time is up, before their tenure, I don't know if that's correct, before their contracts are over.
Well, it's not just that, yeah, it's the fact that some of them have only, I think one of the women that resigned from, I can't remember the position, I'm pretty sure she'd only been there for not that long. There's also been a lot of people where they've basically come into a role that's clearly fucking a house on fire, and they go, oh shit, and they quit. Like, the amount of, like you say, there's just been a huge turnover. Often either quitting last minute or not long after they've taken on that job. So it does not look good.
No, and I think I think this being attached to Willis is damning for her as well.
Oh yeah, and also I think Gary has a great point. I can't wait to hear Craig Rennie's fucking take on. Again, this is why we know that they come in, and I'm going to read out a super chat because it's very good, Peter. The Friday dump. That is what they do. Is that it's just that we don't want to have to deal with this immediately. So we're just going to say it and run away on our little weekend and then come back to hopefully something that's not something they have to put, the fire is put out a little bit by that time. It's just, it's so obvious at this point.
Yes. I was very tempted when I saw this headline to ask Craig to come on, but he has had a busy week, and I did not really want to do that to him on a Friday night to explain some very basics of how the RBNZ works and how banks and all of that stuff. But this is also probably
Kat might
not
bring
quite
him on Monday, so
exactly, and we might have some more information over the weekend or perhaps on Monday. So I don't want to jump the gun. I think there's enough out there to put the pieces together about why perhaps he's left. Sorry. Been pushed out the door. Sorry. Told to let no. Quit unexpectedly. No. Taxpayers, taxpayers union have nothing to do with this. Oh wait.
What? It's giving AstroTurf's gone local. Oh.
So basically, to summarize this and what I see going forward, Adrian Orr resigned. Everyone was like, that was unexpected. It was for personal reasons. No one believes that bullshit. Information comes out. Oh, it's because he had a spat with Nicola Willis and the way that she wanted to run things. Okay, kind of makes sense. Fair enough. This guy resigns after some shit related to Adrian Orr. That was weird. Where did that come from? No one really expected that. I mean, he handled it poorly. That's one reason to kill him. So maybe there's some more information there. New load of 6 months of Information Act requests, you know. So it's just kind of thing, like, it's funny because he got fired. Sorry, he quit.
Yeah.
He quit because he mishandled information about one of his former colleagues quitting. But now there are questions and sort of gaps around why this guy has quit. So now we're going to have it's just like... It's funny.
Although someone in the chat's actually brought out something that I thought would be interesting. I hope Craig hasn't pre-recorded his interview with Jack Tame yet. Because if not, hopefully he might be able to get that in there.